curriculum and instills creative and cognitive thinking, acting as the base of lifelong development. Education today aims at creating future leaders and global citizens and just not groom the students for knowledge and career. Hence, these teachers are expected to create global awareness in students, and they must also be familiarized with various values such as tolerance, empathy, and equality. According to me, NEP clearly says that the first and foremost thing that teachers should do is to move away from rote learning and memorizing to score marks during the exams to actual conceptual understanding, which is very important. They will have to adopt the top bottom approach of shifting from syllabus completion to defining learning goals, curate classroom instruction through innovative pedagogies, and link assessment of these goals. They must look at integrating subjects, streams, and technology to create a holistic learning for students, along with the component of digital literacy, scientific temper, and computational thinking. Teachers should also use the digital portals like everyone nowadays in the schools are using Diksha and Nishta, which is extensively a support system for the students, mainly those who are at the remote areas. Mapping of curriculum across grades and narrowing it to the respective core knowledge only, this is a great idea. I think this can be done by adding activities related to experiential learning and creative and critical thinking skills. Teachers will have to rework on their teaching strategies so that the foundational skills can be developed as per the requirement of the students. And there will be need for more focus at the early age, which is reading, writing, and learning of basic mathematical concepts. And teacher should never brush off her students' views and opinions, make them feel heard and understood, notice and appreciate good behavior, create a friendly and open environment in the classroom, and use creative approaches such as literature, art, culture to instill global awareness, have regular discussion over current events and new updates, cultivate awareness, empathy through conversations and examples. And I think implementing these ideas in our context may require a 360-degree change in the mindsets. Maybe they may confront several obstacles and take time, but that's exactly what our education system requires, a turnaround of our attitude and policies towards teachers. And I think if we do our duty with dedication and sincerity, nothing can stop us from being the Vishwa Guru as envisaged in NEP 2020. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thank you, ma'am. And we all agree with your your assessment that NEP has the potential to make India truly a Vishwa Guru. So I thank you for your perspective and thoughts. So big thanks. We'll come back to you with questions. Now I would request Seema Avasthi ma'am, ma'am, your ideas and your thoughts.
Yes. Very good afternoon to you all. I hope I am comfortably audible.
Yes, you're audible. You're audible, ma'am.
Yes. Um, to see NEP 2020 in the right spirit, we would like to quickly go back to 1968 when we implemented our first education policy. Then in 1986, second education policy was introduced under Rajiv Gandhi when he was the prime minister. And then certain modifications were done in 1992 in the second education policy. In between, in 2009, came the right to education, which was a breakthrough in the education fraternity, as it ensured that children from 16 to 14 years of age have to have the free and compulsory education. So, our after independence of almost 73, 74 years, we have seen broadly two education policies which have come. And after a gap of almost 34 years, this new policy has come. It was the 9-member committee was constituted in 2019 under the chairmanship of Dr. K. Kasturi Rangam, and this the final draft was submitted and approved in 2020. So this is that is how it is called NEP 2020. So the basic features were to improve the quality of education, adhering the gaps in implementation. By 2035, 50% of the students should complete higher education, as today only 25% enroll for higher education and rest drop out. Then reduce rote learning. Then there is no hard separation in between streams. So I would quickly take up a few of them. As far as school education is concerned, currently it is 10 plus 2. If we talk about the metropolitan cities, it is 2 plus 10 plus 2. 2 means preschool and pre-primary, then class 1 to class 10, and then 11th and 12th. Although there are Anganwadis, there are Balvatikas who are taking care of children of the age group 3 years and 4 years, still, if we look into the length and breadth of the country, we find that there are many areas. In fact, much of the area does not cover this age group into school education. So the education starts from class 1 broadly. But the new education policy, it is a scheme of 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. 5 means nursery, KG, prep, class 1 and 2. That is going to be the early childhood care and foundational stage. Then 8 to 11 years of children, 3 years, that is for 3rd to 5th, where basics and fundamentals will be taken up. Then another 3, that is 11 to 14 years of age children, that is class 6th, 7th and 8th. So there the child is supposed to be learning all the subjects so that he can choose later on in which subjects he would like to make as an option. And then 4 classes, that is 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th, 14 to 18 years of age. So that is for 9 to 12th, which even currently we are following. Boards exam will continue, and in class 10th and 12th. So basically, this is the structure which the government has taken a view of. If we look at a few things which have been taken into consideration are that the students are going to learn coding from class 6th. So that is a China model. And options to study in mother tongue up to class 5, that is a European model. Then 360 degrees progress card, which is going to be very comprehensive, which is not going to cover only the academics, but also the co-curricular activities, the these other skills of the child. So it's going to be a comprehensive report. If we talk about the undergraduate programs, there will be a flexible curriculum, vocational subjects will be introduced, and there is going to be an interdisciplinary combination of subjects. So research culture in higher education will be introduced, and use and integration of technology to improve multiple aspects of education will be supported and adopted. There is going to be 3 to 4 years of undergraduate degree, and the students will have the multiple entry and exit options. Certificate after completion of 1 year, diploma after completion of 2 years, degree after 3 years, and a research based work, that is 4-year program, may lead to degree with research. So This is a very, very ambitious plan, and the success lies in the proper implementation across the length and breadth of the country. Teacher, again, teacher education and teacher, the role of the teacher has been given a lot of importance in NEP 2020. See, when we look around these days, when we sit for the interviews, we find that the young talent is least interested in joining the teaching profession these days. They opt for various other opportunities, but they are not very many. Not very many of them are interested in joining teaching profession. So the NEP also ensures that better facilities, better working conditions, continuous professional development, and teacher education will be offered to the teachers. So that is a very, very welcoming step, because we have seen that, you know, every day we come across the students, we come across the teachers that says if they do not get admission anywhere else, if they do not uh, you know understand that they may choose another option, then they come back to teaching. So it is not out of their, very few of them come out of their own will to become a teacher. Rather, it becomes the last option for them to opt for the teaching profession. So that has to change. Then, see, I would like to again say that the reason for deteriorating quality of education is not the 10 plus 2 system, but it is uh, um, the failure of the administration and the implementation. That has to take care of whatever policies we have, we implement them in the true letter and spirit. When I come back to the teaching side again, there is no mechanism to check the day-to-day teaching learning process in schools. When we look at the metropolitan cities, when we look at the public school education, there are systems to see that how teaching learning takes place in the schools. But then most of the children who are there in the government schools, who are there in the remote areas, there is no mechanism, there is no uh, chartered way through which this teaching learning can be checked and monitored, and further guidance can be given. So we all have seen videos on WhatsApp, they keep circulating the type of education being given in certain areas, jahan pe, teachers are writing wrong spellings, they are giving wrong concepts, at times we ridicule, we laugh, but then it is a very sorry state of affairs that, the teachers who themselves are not trained are teaching children, and what are our children going to learn? um, And when I talk about the mechanism of monitoring the day-to-day learning aspect, I also want to mention that in rural areas or in the small cities, we find that an inspector comes once in a year to inspect the schools, and we all have heard that incident के वो शिव जी का धनुष किसने तोड़ा था. I don't need to well, I'll repeat it. So शिव जी का धनुष किसने तोड़ा था? तो इंस्पेक्टर साल में एक बार ही आते हैं, और बच्चा कहता जी मैंने तो नहीं तोड़ा, है ना. टीचर बोलती है नहीं नहीं जी मेरे बच्चे बहुत शरीफ है, ये नहीं तोड़ सकते. एंड द मैटर गोज टू द प्रिंसिपल. प्रिंसिपल सेज जी कोई बात नहीं, स्कूल फंड में से दे के उसको रिपेयर करा लेते हैं, आप रफा दफा करो. तो सारा माशरा ही खराब है. So we really don't want that kind of a situation. So there is a lot of stress on teacher training in the NEP, which is much required, which is the need of the hour. There are going to be few challenges, which in fact I had made a note of it, that opening schools and universities are going to be a big challenge for implementation of this policy very successfully. India today has around 1,000 universities across the country, doubling the gross enrollment ratio in higher education by 2035. we feel that since there is a dropout after class 12th, and if we want to have other children also to join the higher education, then it will mean that we must open one new university every
every
week
day.
for the next 15 years. Hanji. Then the number, as far as schools are concerned, that this policy intends to bring 2 crore children who are currently not in schools back. They want them back in the school system. So accomplishing this over next 15 years requires the setting up of almost 40, 45, 50 schools every week, depending on the numbers of students in a school. अगर हम ये भी सोचें कि एक स्कूल में 1000 बच्चा है, 1000 is not possible also, क्योंकि छोटे छोटे एरियाज में जाके स्कूल खोलने पड़ेंगे जहाँ पे 500-600 से ज्यादा बच्चा शायद नहीं आएगा. So it's going to be around 45-50 schools every week. And you can imagine 45-50 principals and around 200 to 300 teachers will be required every week. So आज भी अगर हम start करें, right from now, if we start in another 15 years, the ambition which we have, it's really a Herculean task for the government and for all of us to see that it is being implemented. Funding again will be a great challenge, as we spend 4.6% of our GDP to education, and the government proposes to raise it to 6%. But then in this COVID era, when there has been a lockdown, the economy has gone down, the collection of taxes has suffered. So we really don't know that how the government is going to spend so much on this, and this further will delay the process. So this is again one of the challenges. Then need to create a large pool of trained teachers. So the redesign of the curriculum and the substantial mindset shifts on the part of the teachers as well as the parents is really going to be a difficult task. So this requires a cultural shift in the entire higher education when we talk about the interdisciplinary learning, although it is a very welcoming stage. But then we certainly hope and pray that the foundation stone has been laid, and with the efforts of all the stakeholders together, we will be able to achieve this goal. And in the times to come, we will see a tremendous empowerment, tremendous improvement in our education system. So it's going to be a wonderful amalgamation of European, Eastern, Western, and Indian, core Indian values on which our national policy, new education policy is based. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Seema ma'am, and you raise a very, I would say, a very strong idea that NEP offers a great support, in achieving that common goal when teaching should become the primary, I would say, preference, for the talent among youngsters. So NEP, gives us a support, in that direction. Thank you, Seema ma'am, and explained, you shared a lot of examples, and you explained how and why this NEP is a wonderful document and it needs to be adopted, wholeheartedly. Thank you, Seema ma'am. We'll come back to you for questions.
Thank
Right
you.
now, welcome, ma'am. Thank you. Now, I would request Dr. Kishore Raja. Dr. Raja, you represent that higher education world, and a lot of people, have suggested that, until unless we have that strong integration, between the school education and higher education, you
Yes,
know, it would be difficult to achieve, the desired fruits. So I would request, if you can share your ideas. And before I formally invite you, I must recognize the presence of two stalwarts. We have among us Nirmal Yadav ma'am, director principal CCA School Gurugram, and Ratna ma'am, principal Maxford School Rohini. So we welcome you, Nirmal ma'am and Ratna ma'am. Thank you for joining.
You. Good afternoon, Rajul. Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's always
thank
a
you, and
delight
welcome.
listening to your discourses here.
Your
Nice, you're
your presence is always a huge inspiration.
great.
Thank you,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Right now, I will request Dr. Kishore Raja.
Yeah, good afternoon to everyone. I think I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible, sir.
So I am very happy to share my views on national education policy. I think the last speaker given elaborate information about national education policy. So just I given a very few points about national education policy, and then I will move on to my experience in academic and the research about that towards the national education policy. And let me start with I think you know the first education policy was passed and implemented in 1986. I think the current the new education NEP was updated and revised in the year 2020. So the this policy is totally based on the pillars of access, equity, and then quality, affordability, and the accountability. So definitely this policy will enable to transform the India into the vibrant knowledge hub. And what are the challenges in the previous higher education policy? I just list out some of the things. The first one, there are poor learning outcomes, and then there is no institutional autonomy, and more that is the lack of research funding across the disciplines. The another important thing, important challenge is if a student want to take a stream, he cannot move to the another stream. So that is a major challenge in the previous higher education system. So all that will be overcome by the new educational policy. So now I can highlight some of the new educational policy. So because I am representing in university level, so this policy creating a higher education system consisting of large multidisciplinary university and the colleges. So at least in the previous speakers said at least one or two near the district, and offering the faculty and the institutional autonomy, and then establishing, this is the more important point, establishing the national research foundation to fund the brightest peer reviewed research, and to actively seed the research in the university and the college levels. So the main the goal of new education policy to enroll the student to up to 50% by 2035, and new existing higher education will evolve into three distinct categories. One is the research universities, the second one is a teaching university, and the third one is autonomous degree granting colleges. And as if you look at the student centric approach, the new policy is totally adapted to the student centric approach, because the main purpose to make learning less stressful and a more learner oriented one. So one of the important thing nowadays, when you look at the school students, they are very good in the coding, the programming part in the sixth level itself. They are able to design an app, a mobile app themselves. So definitely this new education policy will enable the coding and the programming part, and to write the future innovation technologies. And as a researcher, because basically I am also a researcher, there is a need to accelerate because our economy totally based on the research. Because when Look at the GDP, we spent only 0.69 only, whereas when you compare to US or China, they are more than 2% they are investing in the research. So the research culture is inculcated in the school level. So these are some of the highlights of the new education policy. As of the SRM University, what we have done, just think about, I think more school students are there in this forum. So you already know that there are some of the electronic components. So the how they evolved, because if you take a copper wire, you can you turn it the simple copper wire into the inductance or resistance or the capacitors. If it's a very simple idea, that makes you can make a new components. Let us I just give a small example so that how the things are evolved, how the new products coming into the market. That idea, that innovation is supported by this new education policy. So for example, if you take a copper wire, it's a copper wire, it's conducting a current. If you pass a current one A to from one end to another end, the same thing, how you make it as a capacitor, it's simple logic. You've cut it into the two pieces. If you separate it by space, then that becomes a capacitor. It's a very simple logic. You can convert a simple device into the new or a discoverable product. So this is how we are inculcate to the students how the things, how you get the new ideas, how you get the new innovation technologies, put it into their mind. We have a integrated lab, say that the theory is taught and in the lab itself. For example, if you take 10 minutes, if you take a theory, the same thing is put into the lab, and then only they are able to know how they can receive our information. That is more important. That so this things, this teaching methodology we adopted in SRM University. I think the same thing is adopted in the a new education policy in the school level. I think we will follow the same thing also in the university level and the college level. So I think the research culture is there in the new education policy. I'm very happy to that. So I end up with a code. I end up with a code. Yeah, the building with four walls and tomorrow inside. Thank you for having such a forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Raja, for sharing, interpreting national education policy of, as per your experience. Big thanks for joining and sharing your thoughts. We'll come back to you with questions. Now, I would request Jaswinder, sir, the tone has been set on the language development. After Anuradha Joshi ma'am explained, and I believe in an amazing way, how it can create an impact. So I would request if we can have more learnings from you on that.
Thank you, Rajul. I've had very senior people talk about the education policy, what they're talking about, and more focused on the language part. I will start with from a different angle. Everybody here is talking about this is what is going to be is expected out of this NEP. These are the problems, and this is what we need to achieve. I think all this can be achieved only and only if we look at technology as an enabler. If I start with what Seema Awasthi ma'am said, yes, we need so many schools every week, so many teachers every week, so many principals every week. Practically, to have these many people ready to go is a difficult task to achieve. But like I've earlier also discussed, if we use technology, this is possible, right? Though I am from the service sector where we service educational institutions, I have worked with 25,000 teachers. I've worked with 3,000 schools and colleges. What is required is to make technology another school, a school at home. Such a lot of things are coming in. First, the teachers need to know a lot more, and they can only turn towards technology to help them that. Students need to do more, like sir from SRM said, we need to have research. But before research, at school level, we need to teach our students how to search, and then research comes in. So all this is possible if we enable these students with technology and schools with technology. Now, coming on to what Dr. Anuradha Joshi said, ma'am said, is about using mother tongue for the local language. Though we as a company promote English, but I strongly side her and saying that if early education is in mother tongue or the home language, understanding of basic concepts is easy. Like we say, is there's a time when we are trying to build foundation and the child is struggling with language. Let him build the foundation with his own mother language, and side by side, English as a language can get onto that. The three language system is welcomed. In fact, what they've asked of adding classical languages like Sanskrit is also something excellent for people who've joined in a little later. Nirmal Yadav ma'am, I've met her personally. I've been to school with sir also there. You know, if we give technology, if we give learning through technology and learning at home, flip learning is what Dr. Anuradha Mehta also talked about. That's also something important. Let students find out things and let things be explored in the school where peer group learning comes in. I would again bring in Rajul when he talked about, the talking about language. Language is always acquired through peer group discussions. Language is acquired through contexts, through scenarios. So if that is taken up, which is already there for the mother language, and if that similar thing is created in the school, language acquisition can become a strong thing. Dr. Huda Mehta also talked about, we may have to depend on technology. Ma'am, I differ. We have to depend on technology, because that's the only way we'll be able to turn around things, and every other thing is going to be based on technology. Talking about classical languages, we recently built up a Sanskrit lab, and while developing that, we realized that the most technical language in the world is Sanskrit, because each word, the spellings also, or the letters that are used, there's a formula why the first it is an X letter and the second is the Y letter that is taking up. So I strongly support the NEP, which says that language, the initial years should be in mother language, but English should not be ignored. It should be there. In fact, earlier there were speakers who said that English medium schools can carry on with their English. But what we need to do is we need to have all the languages starting right from class one, or maybe in the kindergarten area time that is there. One more important thing where I would like to add on to what Seema ma'am said, ma'am, if we really want to attract good teaching talent, what we need to do is to, make teachers the first citizens of the country. You know, it is not only money, it is a recognition. Earlier, during our Gurukul days, teachers were called as Masterjis. They
Very true.
were respected more than parents, right?
Yes.
We need to bring that respect, and best of the people will come into teaching as a profession. I myself, I used to work with Microsoft. I used to teach on their behalf. I have seen the kind of respect we used to get, in those years, but now that is lost. So if our country really needs the best of teachers, let's create that concept of, calling them masterjis, making them first citizens, and I think then everything will fall in place.
Very
That's what I would, rest my point here. Thank you, Rajulji. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaswinder sir. And truly you have you've raised the point we all have in our minds, that we must work in collaboration to achieve that point, to achieve that glory back. Thank you, Jaswinder sir. We'll come back to you with questions. Now I would request Ryan, if we can have your ideas and your perspective on national education policy.
Yes, hi. Thank you, Rajulji. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to listen to each one of you give your opinions on this whole program that's going to come across the country called the NEP. And I'm superbly excited for it because being a musician, being an academician, and also now supporting where the nation is going to move into getting into multidisciplinary approach and a teaching that helps evaluate critical thinking, I think music is going to play a huge, huge role. So allow me to quickly explain to you, and maybe before we actually go into what we are what we're going to do, I want to ask one question to everybody, and I'm just going to share screen. Um, maybe when you put your palms together and your fingers are crossed, does your right thumb stay on the top or on the bottom? And maybe you can answer it in the chat box accordingly. Does your right thumb stay on the top or on the bottom? This is one of the ways how we can really test, uh, you know, your brain, whether you are a critical thinker or you're a creative thinker, right? So I see a lot of you are in the bottom half, which is great. You guys have great critical thinking abilities. Uh, and I am 100% sure that there are a lot of us who also have their thumbs on the top. So, the brain is one of the most amazing functions. It's one of the most amazing organs, and to really connect the left and the right brain to really have one form of language across the board. Music plays a huge role. We've seen in the year 2017 where for the first time there was a surgeon who actually operated a South African, and he did a brain surgery. The first thing that the surgeon said is, if you know music, if you know the guitar, can you please play it along, because it will help me do the operation better. I mean, that's the beauty of music. It really helps develop both sides of the brain at the same time. And on that note, I want to help you guys with taking you through a video which will give you a perspective of
Hello,
what
I'm here
exactly
to
I'm
tell
talking
you
about.
why
Hello,
learning
I'm
music
here
can
to tell you
actually
why
make your
learning
student
music can
a
actually
faster
make your
and better
student a
academic learner.
faster and better academic learner.
Neuroscientists have confirmed that when
Neuroscientists
you
have
do
confirmed
academic
that
tasks like
when you do
reading,
academic
math,
tasks like
science, or
reading,
history,
math,
you have a
science, or history,
specific area of your brain which lights up. But when you learn music, multiple areas of your brain light up at the same time, which means your brain is replicating the equivalent of an intensive and comprehensive gym workout. A fact that neuroscientists have confirmed with the help of fMRI and PET scans. Thanks to learning music, this carnival of lights engage the visual, auditory, and motor parts of your brain simultaneously. And this leads to the overall strengthening of the brain, which allows your student to excel in so many other academic activities. Let me give you an example. Learning music combines the power of your left brain's mathematical and linguistic capabilities with the right brain's creative and emotional capabilities. So it basically develops the left and right brain at the same time, making you an overall stronger and more creative learner. It has also been proven that learning music helps you create, store, and retrieve memories really efficiently, leading to students doing far better academically. And this is probably why musicians are known to solve problems more effectively and creatively in both academic and social settings. And to help students get the best possible classroom music experience, we at the Fatado School of Music have created a curriculum that is not just super fun but is engaging, covers the correct techniques, theory, and songs that your student would love to learn.
You're
You are
muted, Ryan.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay, great. So, this exactly is what we look forward to in contributing in the whole music space. in making sure that each one of our students who learn with us, they go through this experience, and we have citizens who are far more effective, creative, and who can solve problems effectively. So, just giving you a perspective of who we really are. Uh, what is Furtado School of Music? How far we've come. We are a brand which has, you know, which has been in the legacy of music, like Mr. Rajul had introduced us. From it's about 154 years now, and Furtados is a name which has been synonymous. I mean, you go anywhere in the country, from the northeast to the south, north, west, east, you will find Furtados across the board, giving some amazing products. And Furtado School of Music is an arm of Furtados right now, where we believe that every child in the country must experience, music education, which will help in their cohesive development. At present, as we speak, we are catering to about 75,000 students across 145 schools, and we have 15 centers across the country. Some of the schools who have benefited with our association are mentioned on the screen for you. Like it was mentioned earlier, we have India's largest inter-school band event, called the Bandit Festival. It's a competition that has gained a lot of momentum in the last many years. And Cadence, which is one of our annual day programs. We've even curated programs across the board, like the piano concert. We've had jamming sessions. We've got in-center recitals, and we've got some of the best minds and personalities in the music space who've actually joined us in this celebration. In fact, during COVID, we were really tested. Everybody said, music to nahi chalega. This won't work out because students are anyways having a lot of screen time, and things are not as easy as they seem like. But in fact, we were pleasantly surprised that there were so many takers, not just from India, but even from abroad, who actually, kind of got the benefit of music education. And the beauty is that day by day we just see more and more students across the country and across the world who accept this phenomena of learning music to help calm nerves, to help build your personality, to help build your motor skills, both gross and fine motor skills. And that is where FSM is now heading to. The general age group that we cater to is from 8 to 35, and that's the whole social media exposure, the impressions that are mentioned to you. We've also been in the news across the board, even in rural India, in the tier 1, tier 2 cities, in the metros, and we've been acknowledged, for the kind of service that we've offered, in schools, in cities, in villages, at places where we've even taught under a banyan tree. Some of our awards and recognitions are on the screen for you, and I must say that we actually take this with great pride to say that we have the best music curriculum in the country, to cater to every age group, from a 3-year-old to a 80-year-old. And India is a country where to do a degree in music or a diploma in music is always difficult, but even that shackle has been broken. We've tied up with the NMIMS University, where a degree and a diploma program in music is offered. And we've also tied up with the Berklee College of Music for all further contemporary music education that students wish to pursue. In this online space, we've done a lot of stuff. In fact, right now, as I speak, we're doing a winter camp. There was a summer camp in May. We have a winter camp running right now as we speak, and tons of courses. Like you saw in the video that we have a completely new program that has been brought about, where we not only teach music, but we also teach art, craft, and drawing and dance and a lot of other things, so that both the right and the left brain, they help develop. So for those of us who are really keen on having FSM on board, we'd be very happy to get in touch with you, to talk to you, to help build your lab, to help build your infrastructure, and to have this whole experience so beautiful, so that the NEP, which a lot of us have been talking about now for a while. I just want to maybe give you a perspective, a picture of what exactly people have been putting together. You know, the beauty of NEP is how the whole teaching and learning is going to transform in the country. I mean, from a normal 10 plus 2 to a 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. If you see, everything is play and activity based, it's discovery based, it's experiential learning based. There is a lot of multidisciplinary study that's going to happen. This wasn't seen before 2020 in India. So it's taken almost 3.5 decades for such a transformation to come. And I think FSM will play a huge role. And I'm hoping that all educators, think in that direction, that if I want to have my students to, learn as they play, to discover and learn, like one of our madams, Anuradha madam, had mentioned right at the start, that it's important for children to learn as they maybe watch a banyan tree, or they watch trees and they watch things. It's not about just imparting, it's also about observing and learning through experiential learning. So FSM plays a huge role, and we are hoping that this whole the new pedagogical structure and the curriculum structure that is in place will help move that in the right direction. So that is from my end, Rajulji. Thank you so much. If anybody is interested, I'd be very happy to talk to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. For suggesting how music can increase the efficiency and how it can create an impact. Thank you. We'll come back to you with questions. Now, with this, we
Sure.
enter into the final part of the session, which is the question part. We have received many questions. So, I'll request our speakers, I'll start presenting these questions to you for your comments. But before I start presenting these questions, I'll take a minute in explaining, what exactly we have been doing at School Lalaji Solutions. So I'll present my screen here, and immediately after that, we'll start this, question part. Some of you are already aware, with School Lalaji Solutions, we are India's largest one-stop solution platform for educational institutions. We are working, we are currently present in 42 cities, working with somewhere around 4,000, 500 plus institutions. We help educational institutions in three, different ways. We help them in buying the right thing from right people at right price. We also help institutions in selling their old stuff, like their old buses, generators, their old furniture. We also help institutions in raising money, that may be in terms of loans or fee financing, or there are some other ways of doing that. Why a platform like School Lalaji Solutions is needed? In last 10, 12 years, there are thousands of new companies have come up in education. They are offering a lot of amazing products and services. But one big challenge is there for for the school leaders and for those companies. Like, for school leaders, their bandwidth doesn't allow them to meet each and everyone. You cannot explore each and every product which is available, right? Sometimes we, due to the limitation of time, we just continue with our existing vendors. We just continue, our ongoing people. So that is a challenge for those companies as well. So here we come and we understand your school, we understand your requirement, we understand your taste, and accordingly, then we will meet with different companies. We understand their products, and when we connect right products and right companies with you after doing a negotiation. These are the areas where we are working. We are working in smart classroom. We are helping institutions in getting right smart class, uniform insurance, diesel. In some part of Delhi NCR, we are also delivering diesel to the school doorstep at a discounted price. Solar plant, we are helping schools in getting solutions. Language lab, security solutions, furniture, recruitment, music classroom, healthcare. robotics, STEM, STEAM labs, career counseling, stationery, digital marketing, IT solutions, educational tour, generators, learning tools, finance. And we take the guarantee that we'll save at least 5 to 7%, in your annual expenditure. Just one example, last year alone, we saved 2 crore 40 lakh rupees in bus insurance different schools. These are some major highlights. 8 megawatt plus solar installation in different schools, 3,000 plus bus insurance, 400 plus smart classrooms, 2,000 plus cameras, 350 plus training programs, 56 old buses, uniform in 42 schools. By the end of 2021, we aim to reach out to 10,000 institutions. We need your support, guidance, and blessings. So thank you. With this, we end this part. Now I'll start presenting the questions. I'll request Suprabha, Madam Ma'am, if I can present the first question to you. This question has come from Ms. Padmini Dubey. She is the academic head. Padmini ji has asked when will be the implementation of integration of streams in senior secondary classes? Madam Ma'am.
Are you asking me, Rajul?
I requested Suprabha Madam because this question has come from your school. So, so maybe it could be right. So, Suprabha ji.
I missed the question. I'm so sorry. Could you repeat, please?
I'll repeat the question for you, ma'am. When will be the implementation of integration of streams in senior secondary classes?
See, the timeline is very frankly not very clear, but 2025 is the earliest one can expect.
May I
Right.
interrupt, Rajul? I think
Yes, ma'am.
as of now, yes, when we go by this NEP implementation, it will happen in the 2024 first batch. So what Madam Ma'am is saying is, yes, the 25, it will be the class 12. So it will start, 24 would be the final examination of this batch, 24-25.
So 2025, the next very important year will be 2025. So this would be the headline for today's, prime time. Thank you, ma'am. Now I would request Seema ma'am, if I can present this question to you. This has come from Mr. Narendra Singh Yadav. He's Narendra ji is vice principal with Red Roses School, New Delhi. So Narendra ji has asked, will NEP be applicable for all state boards?
Of course, it is there for the entire country. So it will be implemented across, north to south and east to west, everywhere. In fact, the state boards will have the autonomy in various things, but at the same time, the basic structure will remain the same for all the state boards to follow.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Nirmal ma'am, when we have, it would be very difficult to register, if I don't ask you any question, we don't take any advantage from your experience. So I'll just present a question to you. And this is a very generic question, but I believe a lot of people have this confusion. This has come from Miss Neeta Gupta, Shanti Gyan Niketan Secondary School, Delhi, Computer Science. Neeta ji has very categorically asked how the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 is better over the current system.
See, am I audible, Raju?
You're audible.
Thank you so much. Well, there is nothing correct if I've heard it, because your last part I couldn't hear. Is it the correct system? That's what you want to know.
If you can highlight 2 or 3 qualities of this 5 plus 3 plus 3 system over the current system.
Over the present system. Because your voice was breaking. Anyway, I'll try as I have interpreted, because I think your audio is not coming very clearly to me. See, the interpretation as whatever is there now, we have only streamlined it. Streamlined in terms of years, that is okay. And the new
Nirmal ma'am, your voice is breaking. Your voice is breaking. I would request अगर आप video अपना off करें तो clarity थोड़ा ज़्यादा आएगा.
Okay, I'll switch off the video. Am I okay now?
Yes, it is
Thank you.
clear,
Thank
ma'am.
you so much. See, as regards the number of years, we haven't done much change in that. But it is the subject wise that yes, we have gone more liberal because there is no such hard and fast rule that a child who is maths, physics, chemistry must be interested in mathematics, only these sciences and not in geography or history. Because personally, I'm a science person, but I enjoy history and English equally. So this has become a good thing for our children that they have a choice and an option. Then the new policy lays a great emphasis on the training of teachers. And I think this was a high time that we needed revamping of the whole B.Ed system. And I hope that with this national education policy, this
Yes.
thing should see a change and a right because as ma'am said in one of her talks, she was saying today only that the quality of teachers, it is very, very important because when I look at a teacher, I see what the basic education has been, and is there trainability or scope for improvement? Because if there is scope for improvement, I can make an excellent teacher. Because I have teachers who have asked me, truly, I'm being honest about it. They say, ma'am, why did you select me? I said, my job is to see the diamond hidden under that
Exactly.
dust. And I saw that spark in you, and I said, by your staying with me or coming with us and all the other teachers hand holding, you will get into our culture and improve. And they've really improved. And I thank my stars and said, I don't know how I found you. So it is up to the institution, but you have to get that material that the teacher has got that amenability to learning. That is important. So this would be a very good feature in our NEP. Otherwise, and the languages problem, I think all as principals, we all know that by the age of 14, a child can learn as much as a dozen languages. So that should not be much of a concern because we've been teaching. I teach 4 languages in my own school. In class 5, I give them the basics of Sanskrit, French, English, and Hindi are there. And children enjoy all 4 of them. You see, give them the right environment, the right atmosphere. And of course, all this music and art, every child enjoys, they are born into it. So I hope I have been able to answer.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely,
So my
absolutely.
audio was weak.
Something to it. Can I add something to it?
Please, ma'am.
Yes. Currently, there are 2 years before class 1. This is preschool and pre primary. Then class 1 to 10 and 11th and 12th. So, right now, children are spending 14 years in school education. Whereas it is going to be 15 years when NEP is implemented. 3 plus child will go to nursery, KG, and then prep. So 1 year of education, 1 year of school life has increased.
Ma'am, in any
Absolutely.
case, we used to take children at 3 plus only in LKG, UKG. So by the time
Ma'am,
a child came to class 1, 5.5, we said the child must complete in April, 5.5. Yes, the 6 month disadvantage, some children, because it's the part of the year that they are born in. That was even now, some were little uh, overage in the class and some were a little underage. But now, yes, we have streamlined, so those 6 months also have been taken care of. But being a national policy, I suppose a couple of years down the line, everybody will be following it. So all children would be the same age group. It won't interfere in our competitive exams or the cutoff years for any institutions.
no,
So
that of
hopefully.
course is true, ma'am. But then now, there were 2 classes, 3 plus age group, the child used to come to preschool. Now there are 3 classes added before class 1. So that means now 18 plus child will be doing the class 12. So 1 year has been added to the school curriculum, school age. Oh, that of course is there that all of them will be of the same age group. What I'm trying to say is that earlier 17 plus used to get the class 12th examination done, and now it's going to 18 plus.
Ma'am, this is what is internationally there everywhere. In fact,
Yes,
that is why when you know what they're trying to do is to have kids, students across the world to move to any country. And
yes.
because we are getting foreign universities into India, we need to have that same pattern. That is why this one more year has been added.
That
Plus,
of course is
if
there. But what
yeah,
I'm trying to address the question
yeah,
that
exactly.
me how to interpret, 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. So,
In fact, ma'am, if you look at PG level, you got only 1 year now. That post-graduation level of which they call it research. So ultimately, it is going to be the same because
no,
after graduation, we were doing 2 years of post-graduation.
going to be 1 year. 1 year is theoretical. The other year is for research. So
That's what
ultimately,
I'm saying. The 4th year is for research.
that is the graduation level.
Yeah, exactly. So what they're trying to do is to build in that 1 year extra so that we are at par with everybody in the world.
Of course, is there.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
that
because see, what is happening is in
Now
other
will be a,
countries, sorry,
sorry,
yeah,
will
in
be
other,
a like 3 years graduate and 4 years graduation also. Both are there. The option is
yes,
there.
yes, yes, yes.
And then if you see, ma'am, that earlier when these age restrictions were not so much, a child even of 13 years of age could do matriculation, or what we call 14 years could do so. Now, yet, but they could not go into engineering or medical or NDA if you are not 17 years of age as on your 1st September or whatever the days used to give. So those children had to wait. I used to have students who were ineligible to go for medical because these professional colleges want you to complete 17 years. And as Jasmita says, that internationally then it will be a same level age group and the maturity level. Thanks so much.
Right, ma'am.
Thank you. With this, Jaswinder sir, next question to you only. How, because you come from the world of language, but I believe that you are the expert on everything. But
Ah, come on.
I would try to restrict myself on the language part only. How do you see the environment on language development post implementation of national education policy?
See, two aspects to it. One, that getting the home language or the local language into the education system is something very good. I would, give thumbs up to that. But that doesn't mean that English medium schools have to have that, right? So if not this way, they can actually have it the other way around. They could have the other language right from first standard one. Second is some years back in Gujarat, where I come from, they had a scheme known as Ganga Jamuna. So the because they had Gujarati medium schools and they were 70% or 80% Gujarati medium schools and only some 25% English medium schools. So they used to have one sheet in English, the other page facing used to be in Gujarati, right? So if you really want to do something, is if you want to teach them some concepts where it needs the local language, because the teacher will be able to explain better, the child will be able to understand better. So I suppose this three language policy is something which is very good. But that also means that the child has to go and acquire more languages. But one more thing, it is said that if you are able to speak four languages, your brain works better, right? So in a way, it is going to help us. So you get into that, and English is going to be there. It is going to stay there because on one side we are talking about the global local, right? One side we're talking about the global village, and the other side we are talking about these languages. Though implementing this is going to be difficult, because just take example of Kendriya Vidyalayas. I work with 1100 of these KVs, ma'am, ladies. Why were they there? Because if a government employee gets transferred, so somebody gets transferred from West Bengal to say Tamil Nadu, what is the child going to do? So my only point there is, I don't know, they must have thought of it, but it is not very clear in the NEP or whatever document that I have read. Maybe it will come in. So that's the only thing that we're looking at. But yes, the world of language is going to become more interesting. We have to just make it enjoyable. Like Nirmal ma'am said, you know, students should like languages. I say, let them love languages. Once they love languages, they'll acquire them all by themselves. We as educators need not work more. Plus, technology is always there. And beyond them, we are there with technology. So that's over to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
With this, I would request Ryan, if we can have your comments on this question. This is from the art and music. With this NEP, the more focus and very specific emphasis has been given on those co-curricular activities. So, how do you see the evolution of these co-curricular activities or music or arts in coming time?
I think there's a huge scope. I just want to mention one thing. I think 2024 Olympics in Paris, if I'm not wrong, break dance is now being introduced as part of the Olympics. I'm not sure if anybody is aware of it. You see where the world is already heading to. If art is going to be supported in the Olympics, who will not take it for in the school? Break dance तब करोगे जब music जानते हो ना. So in the same way, our education system is going through a breakdance right now. We are actually moving into a space where there is so much of enjoyment in learning. It's not going to be mug up and vomit. It's going to be, enjoy what you're doing, and let's learn and earn. Everything that we do is going to be hands-on experience. If you do not know, I still remember I did my ninth and 10th, and I learned so many theorems and formulas. Unfortunately, I'm not able to execute it anywhere. So that such post learning won't happen. And that is the beauty of the new NEP. I personally think arts has a huge role to play, and the world has already accepted it. It's high time India also accepts it, and NEP is in the right direction.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Brian. With this, we come to the end of this very special session. We enter into the concluding parts. I would request our speakers if we can have your concluding remarks. Also, we have established one unique practice that I request if you can share one innovative idea which you would like to implement if you given a chance to run the education of our country. You become a minister of education in our country. So what would be that idea which you would like to implement as your priority? So I would request Seema Avasthi ma'am, if we can begin with you. You are
Ma'am,
mute, ma'am.
Ma'am, you're on mute, ma'am.
Give me little time. Let somebody else speak. Let me quickly think it over.
So let's invite the real Minister of Education, at least for the Delhi NCR, Nirmal Yadav ma'am. Ma'am, what would be your idea if you become the Minister of Education of our country? So what would be your priority? और and you in true sense you आप म्यूट पे हैं, अभी आप म्यूट पे हैं, और in true sense you deserve to be the Minister of Education of a country, ma'am.
I don't want to steal the thunder of all the speakers. However, I am always something like an eavesdropper, and he always notices me. I want to enter quietly, but Raju says ma'am is there. Anyway,
उसका एक आंसर मैं करता हूँ बस एक क्विकली. मैम, अगर अमिताभ बच्चन मूवी के सेट पे आएगा तो डायरेक्टर का लालच आएगा कि वो उसको एक आध सीन में
अरे बाबा कहाँ ले गए हमें राजन? We are just very small fry. Anyway,
Please.
mine would be happy learning and happy schools. If we have achieved that, I think our job is done as leaders. Thank you. I want the happiness to be there in learning, and the environment, school environment should be happy. Whether they are dancing, singing, playing, music, learning, acting, examination, anything they do with pleasure. Because whatever we do with pleasure, we never forget. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you are an example. How we can achieve that, how we can preserve that. You are an example, ma'am. Thank you. Seema ma'am, I would request if we can have your comments.
Yes. In fact, I would want the actual infrastructure which we have for the children studying in public schools and the metropolitan cities to reach to the remotest area in the country. So those children should also get the benefit of all the facilities which are being enjoyed by children living in the states, so metropolitan states. So that is my take on this.
Wonderful, wonderful. So last mile reachability. Thank you, Seema ma'am. Now I would request Jaswinder sir, your concluding remarks and your idea as Minister of Education.
Okay. So first I'll take up the minister part because that is something very interesting. I'll just add up to what Seema ma'am is saying. She's saying, Bharat or India ko mila dena hai. It should both be same. Anyway, so talking about this thing, I have worked very closely with, a lot of schools. In fact, out of all the people who are there, I've met 3 of them, been to the school, worked with them. Whole point is that we need to give educationists time to do their own work, right? So I would say that the government should only make policies and not run the schools. Right now, what they're doing is they're doing. So I would give total autonomy to schools. What they need to do is give us the right kind of citizens that we want. Let them do what you do is up to you within the framework of whatever guidelines. Okay. Second, if I have to talk about my concluding remarks, NEP 2020, why is it the way it is? Because it has been designed under the guidelines of a teacher. ISRO chairman, the kind of person he is, you understand, they took time, but they went to the grassroots level. They knew what the problems are. And rightly said by one of the earlier speakers is that we've got amalgamation of the Indian culture, the European system, the Eastern system, right, and the Western system. So what we need to do is put in all our efforts. See, it will take time. NEP 2020 is just a start. They are asking us to be ready for it. By 2022, we should start implementing it. If we all believe in what the government does and support our teachers by training them. In an earlier forum, I had already told that, there is a lot of teacher training that they're talking about. But I am talking about, let's evaluate, find out what each teacher needs, and then give them that rather than give everybody all the training. Because we have got X number of days only, right, for teacher in service training. So if that is taken up, I would suggest the way they've come up with their own portals. Teacher training portals are important. They are working on that. Let each teacher on her own get evaluated by the portal, take up the weak areas, work on her own, on his own, and then appear for it and somewhere come at par rather than we telling them what they want to do. The way we are saying that students can decide what they teach or what they want to learn, let's teacher decide what they want to teach. That's how I would conclude my point on this thing.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I would request Ryan, your concluding remarks, and what would be your idea as Minister of Education?
I think the first thing that I really agree with what Mr. Mansingh had said. In fact, where he said that they can follow a certain framework. The same needs to be put for a student as well. Give a certain framework. You have sufficient time. Empower the student to complete it within the given time, and earn the results as time goes by. I think we will see a lot more responsible society being created as time passes. And if this is the general behavior, rather than spoon feeding everything, I remember during my college days, we were asked to sit in the library and start searching out your own answers. I wish that started even in schools, but with baby steps. So hopefully, NEP should head in that direction, and we should benefit, on the overall scheme of things.
I'll just want to put something here, and that's known as CBCS, choice-based credit system, which is implemented in certain parts of the country. And what you're talking about finding answers, that is flip learning. If they truly implement flip learning, nothing better than that.
Absolutely.
Nothing better than that. Rather than just flip learning, superficially. Flip learning is, you see, today you don't have to mug up everything. You should know where to find what. Because
Yes.
technology is in your palm, in your hands. So if that
True.
is taken up, yes, I think this should work.
Right. So with this, we come to the end of this brilliant exchange of ideas. This very special 69th session of Leadership Talks. So I offer my gratitude to our key speakers, Seema Avasthi ma'am, Anuradha Joshi ma'am, Anuradha Mehta ma'am, Suprema Menon-ji, and a very special guest, Nirmal Yadav ma'am, who joined us in the middle of session, Jaswinder sir, Dr. Kishore Raja, and Mr. Ryan Bangera. I offer a big thanks to you all for making this session a truly special one. Thank you. This is for the day, and this is the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.